And boom, magically it's done. Let's take a look. Exciting. Okay. So now, as you remember from before, we also have our merged guy. That's going to be both the points and the actual mesh, which gives us, if you look at it through here, all this cool stuff. Awesome. So now we need to do our magic trick. I'm going to actually have this be the thing we see so that we don't, I'm going to put this back on smooth. And I can see this, so we see this, we see the blood when we're looking at it. So the exciting point now is we're going to do our wet points map maker, the word I can never say right. And we're just literally going to copy the grid wet point, this thing, and we're going to call it zombie this thing. Now the only thing that's going to be different here is, first place, you got to remember there's a bunch of hooks we have in here to the other params. Remember our params are here. So things like max wetness and blah, 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 we want to do those. Just do it now. Get out of the way so you don't forget. Make sure we change this to zombie. Make sure we change our, I guess those are the same. This character now comes instead from object grid out, comes from our zombie head. Zombie head out. Our scatter, as you remember, has a thing from the, or has a direct link, so let's actually copy that over, scatter density, copy, and then there's going to be at least two more, because I saw two more up there, paste cover reference, zombie head params. You know, actually, to be crazy, since we were so clever, we named our things grid this and grid that and then zombie that, we should, instead of just going cutting, copying, and pasting all the time, that guy's going to go away, by the way, for a reason I'm going to say in a second, but in our solver, oh, shoot. We should probably go back to the beginning so I don't have to do everything. The thing I wanted to point out was this doesn't need to get changed because we cleverly did op input path. This doesn't need to get changed. This doesn't need to get changed. But this that has our, oh, we didn't link it up. Oh, well, neat. That makes it easy. So that normally is linked up. So our previous molt that we moved out here, that, it's a little difficult. You got to dump in. That's going to get a reference, and then min wetness is going to get a reference. And min wetness, where's our min wetness? I think I called it max wetness. Well, that was genius. No, I'm sorry, I called it wet remain. Convenience of names. Yeah, I should have called that min wetness. That's the minimum wetness it goes down to. So I'm actually going to cut and paste the guy here, but up here, I'm going to change it to min wetness because that'll mess me up. Max wetness is always 1. I don't know why I put that there. We'll get rid of that. So here in our parameter interface, we don't need max wetness anymore. We're going to get rid of that. The button. And then wet remain is actually going to be called min wetness. Min wetness. Min wetness. Now, what's the thing that I said I was going to tell you about that I never told you about? Blah, 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 blah. Let's take a look. First, I'm going to get rid of this because it's no longer going to be cached because it's not going to be a static thing. You know our character? It's the zombie head, right? Zombie head. However, two things I want to show you. One, here's what happens when you scatter points on a zombie head. You get those points. Now, when it moves, I don't know if you can see that. See that little jittering? Those, it scatters, you know, a certain number of points, but they're not always in the exact same place. Why? Because this guy is animating. He's not just translating. He's also changing. His head is turning a little bit. You know, there's little tiny changes. So you can kind of see the pattern moves around. If you look at the numbers, from one frame to the next, they aren't consistent. So we can't just say scatter on the moving thing, go, hey, this will work perfectly, or whatever the cat just said. What we have to do is something cleverer than that. So two things we're going to do. First, I guess I'll do the first thing first. The other thing I was going to say is when we scatter the points on it, we know where the blood hits now. It hits here, it drops down here, blah, blah, blah. We need this part. We don't really need the back side. We don't really need this other side. So, you know what? You guys are so cool. I'm just going to teach you that right now. What we can do, and I do this a lot just for fun, instead of selecting points and deleting stuff and blah, 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 if you know it's going to be in a spot, you can use the paint SOP, and I'm just going to use this, and make a guy that's red first. I'm sorry, that's blue first. Take this guy, make him blue, RGB, then make a paint SOP, and in the paint SOP, make the radius, whoa, maybe not that big, but, make it bigger, and just go ahead and paint the parts we know are interesting. We know that it might hit here, might hit here. We don't need to be exact, but it's just to say that the rest of it probably won't get hit with blood. And the reason that's useful is because we can then delete all the parts, and even though these are primitives, we can delete by an expression saying where the blue is less than 0.2, maybe, right? Bonk. Did I do it the wrong way? Non-selected. So that way we get that, and then when we move it, this should be consistent. If it's not, I've done something wrong. And the reason it's consistent is because the paint SOP goes by the UVs and stuff. So even little weird parts like that other lip part, I'm going to leave there. Okay, so there's a lot less stuff. So now when we scatter on it, instead of scattering like this, where it's everywhere, that's nice, but we're having whatever points we have, we don't really need to make all those points. We just need to make the ones that we're interested in. Okay, that was thing 2. I haven't done thing 1 yet, so let's talk about thing 1 for a second. Remember our scatter guys. Here's the magic happens. Let me do a scatter guy that's just less. Okay, so our problem here was that it jittered when he changed. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to say a time shift. The time shift. And we're going to say that I'm going to call this first frame. First frame. Okay, and this we're going to use, we'll just hard code it as 1. No, we're going to use $F start because we're not idiots. So that way this, as you can see, doesn't move. Hey, what's going on? So we want to do make that move with the guy in such a way that he keeps. This is the kind of thing we used to have to make by hand all the time, and it already bugged the hell out of me. I think I did it a million times on the various Spider-Man movies. Nowadays, thanks to Houdini 14, you can go over here on output attributes, and you can say I want a prim number and a prim UV, and have it do that. Which I don't want to call them source prim. Let's actually call it prim num, because they actually got prim num right there. Houdini, by the way, if you're listening, change this to default to that. And let's call it prim UV without the source. So prim num and prim UV. Why is that exciting? Because now each and every little point here has more than just its point stuff. I don't know if you can see that, but it tells it which primitive it's on and where on that primitive it is. And so if we made some fancy thing that looked it up and moved it, that would be great. We don't need to, though, because we now have this guy. He is called attribute interpolate. Did I just get rid of him? Anyway, type in interpolate, you'll see it. Yeah. See attribute interpolate? Bing, bang, boom. And what we'll do is he goes here. He goes here. And if you take a look at attribute interpolate, they also use this source prim. I guess you didn't need to change the names. I just kind of like prim num and prim UV, but you could have literally left those alone and been even quicker. But if you do this, so bam. Now this guy moves with, I don't know if you can see that. He moves with our animation, but he's consistent. He doesn't change. And that way we have a consistent number. And if we look very closely at the numbers here, I don't know if you can see that, but see how they're consistent? Now, back when we didn't do that, and we did this thing, they weren't consistent. They went ba-ding, 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 and they moved around a little bit. Nowadays, we can have this, and it's consistent. Actually, scatter, you know something? I'll bet you that scatter is smarter than I think. Now that I look at it. When we do scatter like this, yeah, they change a little bit. They do change. I think when you put output attributes on, Oh shit, my 10 minutes is up, sorry. Then it stops. But anyway, so this is our trick so that we'll get points that we like, that works. And that trick can also work on our guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hook all that up, and then I'm going to press the solver, let it do its delete, and actually make the points, and I'll come back to the next one. We'll put it all together in the final lesson.